As you know, all objects reflect light, some more, some less, depending on their color. The white jacket of these pencils, some less, depending on their color. The white jacket of these pencils, some more, some less, depending on their color. The white jacket of these pencils, some less, depending on their color. The white jacket of these pencils, some more, some less, depending on their color. The white jacket of these fencers is reflecting more light than their dark trousers.
I'll trim the philosophizing.
As you know, all objects reflect light, some more, some less, depending on their color. The white jacket of these fencers, some less, depending on their color.
Well, that gives you a pretty general idea of what's happening.
The white jacket of these fencers, some more, some less, depending on their color. The white jacket of these fencers, some less, depending on their color.
Now, none of us like crystal gazing.
The white jacket of these fencers, some more, some less, depending on their color. The white jacket of these fencers is reflecting more light than their trousers.
Pulsating wavelengths, pulsating wavelengths, pulsating
With my
wavelengths,
good fortune and privilege
pulsating wavelengths,
to play a part in the launching and subsequent development of a new industry.
pulsating wavelengths, pulsating wavelengths, pulsating
With my
wavelengths,
good fortune and privilege
pulsating wavelengths,
to play a part in the launching and subsequent development of a new industry.
pulsating wavelengths, pulsating wavelengths, pulsating
With my
wavelengths,
good fortune and privilege
pulsating wavelengths,
to play a part in the launching and my good fortune and
pulsating
privilege
wavelengths,
to play a part in the launching and subsequent development of a new industry.
Television.
The era of television. The era of television. The era of television. The era of television.
Television is here to stay.
The dream of television had persisted for centuries.
Television is here to stay. Television is here to stay.
The signature of every century has been its skyline. The signature of every century has been its skyline. The signature of every century has been its skyline. The very ancient, the old, the medieval, the modern. Imprints of man's never-ending path of progress, silhouetted against the ageless canvas of the sky. Our day, our times, our signature, our skyline. Metal fingers beckoning to the invisible, calling to sound the ear cannot hear, and sight beyond the range of the unaided eye. Our era, the era of television. The dream of television had persisted for centuries. The human eye is a miraculous instrument, perceptive, sensitive, forever tuned to the pulsating wavelengths of light. Yet the eye is hemmed in by horizons. It cannot see over a hillside or beyond the haze of distance. To extend the range of human eyesight, man developed marvelously sensitive instruments, binoculars. Giant telescopes to probe the furthest span of space. But always there were barriers. Distance. Could man fling pictures to the sky and gather them in at a distant point? It was a provoking challenge. And nowhere did the challenge provoke more unending experiment and research than at RCA. As far back as the 1920s, two men took up this challenge. They share the irresistible dream of television. David Sarnoff, chairman of the board of RCA, Dr. Vladimir Zworykin, Honorary Vice President and Technical Consultant of RCA.
Dr. Zworykin, every now and then I like to put the calendar back and remember another important occasion when you came to my office. You were a good salesman, and I was a good dreamer. We talked about broadcasting moving images by electronics. And I remember that I asked you what it would cost to develop an all-electronic television system. Do you recall your estimate?
Of course I remember. I asked something like $100,000.
Your estimate missed by quite a bit. It cost RCA more than $50 million to create, develop, and introduce America's first all-electronic television system. And since that time, as you know, RCA has spent another $70 million to pioneer and develop the compatible color television system. But how well that money was spent. We succeeded in extending human sight far beyond the horizon.
Yes. This is wonderful thing about television. The extension of our sight. You are better acquainted with this progress, General, than anyone because of your participation and leadership in so many phases of television development. It was nearly 30 years ago when I came to your office with that tube, the first eye of television.
Yes, I well remember it. Nearly 30 years ago. And what a great invention this tube has become. It certainly has fulfilled its destiny.
Well, General, this is the grandfather of the pickup tube. Do you want to see the newest grandchild?
Well, I'm all for grandchildren. Let's have a look at it.
Well, here it is.
Well, this certainly looks very interesting. What do you expect this grandchild to do?
Well, that's what we call miniature Vidicon, and I hope eventually it will replace all the existing pickup tubes for all the purposes.
Well, that's very interesting and certainly very promising, because what we need to do is to reduce the size and the cost of these components so that television, color television, both at the transmitting and the receiving end, may be within the reach of everyone, may be within the reach of everyone, may be within the reach of everyone, within the reach of everyone, everyone. That is my hope. 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 That is my hope.
The turning point. 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 The turning point came in 1923. The turning point came in 1923. The turning point came in 1923 when Dr. Zworykin invented the iconoscope. This tube, after years of further development, became the image orthicon, the electronic eye of the modern television camera. In 1929, Dr. Zworykin and his associates announced the first successful electronic kinescope, forerunner of today's television picture tube. The circuit was complete. All electronic television was achieved. It worked. How? The lens of the television camera acts like the iris of the human eye. It gathers in the light rays and focuses them on a mosaic of light-sensitive material that is built into the picture tube. The light-sensitive material converts the light into electrical impulses. The light-sensitive material converts the light into electrical impulses, a reaction varying with the strength of the light. The optic nerve of the camera picture tube is the electron beam, controlled by electromagnets. The beam scans the picture which is on the plate in rapid sweeping motions from side to side, from top to bottom. When the beam hits the image, it loses varying amounts of electrons and then bounces back to the opposite end of the picture tube, where it is amplified millions of times. It is led off to the transmitter in the form of electric current. The signals are broadcast as radio impulses into space. Heart of the receiving set is the kinescope. Here, the action is reversed. The stream of electrons, synchronized perfectly with those of the camera tube, literally paints the picture information on a chemically treated screen line by line. The glow is bright when the beam is strong, less bright when it is weak. Thus, the picture is reassembled. 1931. Atop the Empire State Building, the National Broadcasting Company, a service of RCA, erected the transmitting antenna for experimental television station W2XBS. Now, RCA's technicians and scientists tackled the next goal, improvement of picture quality. Hitherto, using a mechanical process, the best that could be transmitted was a crude signal of 60 scanning lines. RCA turned to the new science of electronics, discarded the mechanical spinning disc, and soon doubled, tripled, then tripled again the scanning lines. Now television was really on its way. In 1937, television strode out of the studio with mobile vans developed by RCA and NBC, versatile, self-sustaining. New eyes, new vision for the world. A man could sit at home, yet his eyes could scan the countryside. A bright new era dawning, a new dimension in communications. Distance reduced to microwaves, walls, barriers, mountains erased. Television, the ultimate triumph in man's search for sight beyond the range of the human eye. The world of tomorrow became the world of today. 1939. Television is ready to make its official public debut. The setting could hardly be more perfect. The New York World's Fair. Its theme, the world of tomorrow. The RCA exhibit building, where on April 29, 1939, David Sarnoff stated, "We have added radio sight to sound." NBC cameras probed, explored, scrutinized. Viewers watching the 3,000 television sets then in New York saw the first president ever televised, Franklin D. Roosevelt, officially opening the world of tomorrow. Via television, the viewers toured with the King and Queen of England through Pavilion and Midway. Day by day, television produced new adventures, new vistas, new excitement, new thrills. NBC presented the first baseball game ever televised, August 1939. 1940, the nerve-tingling drama of a national political convention, the first ever televised. Philadelphia and New York were knit together by the electronic miracle of television. Radio relays, pioneered by RCA, and the telephone company coaxial cables, wiped out the horizon as the far limit of telecasting. Still in the trial and error stage, television began studying its own future as a tremendous new medium of entertainment. The first programs were simple, unpretentious, proving grounds for technicians, cameramen, directors, writers, and performers. Slowly, the know-how was gained. Bit by bit, creative imagination began to give form and substance to the new art form, 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 to the new art form called television. 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 The turning point. 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 1941. 1941. 1941. 1941. 1941. 1941. 1941. 1941. 1941. 1941. 1941. 1941. 1941. 1941. 1941. A fateful year. 1941. A fateful year. 1941. A fateful year. 1941. A fateful year. War and the beginning of a 4-year blackout for commercial TV. And television enlisted for the duration. Research went forward at war tempo. At RCA's David Sarnoff Research Center, Princeton, New Jersey, 24-hour shifts explored every corner of the new world of electronics. For submarine detection, the sniper scope that made it possible to see a target in darkness. Thus, the progress of perhaps a peacetime decade was compressed into 4 short years. 1945, the war over. The war. 1945, the war over. The war over. After 4 years of unparalleled war effort, denial, sacrifice, the American public hungry for the rewards of peace. And television, with its promise of endless hours of enjoyment, entertainment, was part of the peacetime dream. RCA all over. 1949, an historic television first, a presidential inauguration. As Harry Truman took the oath, the event was a dynamic industry employing more than 1 million. Television, an unparalleled blending of science and art, invention and engineering, private incentive and public service. By television, American business has found a most effective advertising medium, and in turn, advertising has provided the resources that sustain the standards of programming and permit the never-ending research that is the heart of the television industry. Television servicing alone has become a major industry, employing nearly 100,000 people. Yes, in little more than a wink of time, television has entered our homes, our lives, imprinted new silhouettes on our skyline. And all this has been just the beginning. There was still another dream to be realized, still another dimension to be added. Black and white television had been the herald, It put millions of TV sets into our homes, built hundreds of TV stations, created an industry, an art, a public service, an exhilarating component of our American way of life. It provided the foundation for the next giant step forward. Color.
Telecasting studios, telecasting studios,
The turning point.
telecasting studios, telecasting studios,
The turning point.
telecasting studios, telecasting studios,
The turning point.
telecasting studios, telecasting studios, telecasting
The turning point.
telecasting studios, telecasting studios, telecasting studios, telecasting
The turning point
studios, telecasting studios, telecasting studios.
of television. Of television.
Television.
Of television.
Here's an expert
Of
with a
television.
lowdown on the
Of
inside
television. Of
facts.
television. Of television. Of television. Of television. Of television. Metal fingers beckoning to the invisible. 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 Metal fingers beckoning to the invisible.
Let's look into a brand new development in our Tomorrow series. Let's look into a brand new development. For the first in our Tomorrow series, let's look into a brand new development. For the first in our Tomorrow series, let's look into a brand new development. For the first in our Tomorrow series, let's look into a brand new development. For the first in our Tomorrow series, let's look into a brand new development. Let's look into a brand new development. What's tomorrow going to be like? What kind of world are we going to live in when we get our permanent furloughs? Super-speed highways? Plastic Packards? Streamlined cities? What does the future hold in store for us? To get a glimpse of that future, Army-Navy Screen Magazine presents a new department, Tomorrow, previewing our post-war world, the job opportunities, the new fields ahead.
I'm glad to have this opportunity to speak to you men and women in the service of America. I believe in this world to come. I think it's going to be a pretty good world. What I've been asked to tell you about, so I'll trim the philosophizing, is most certainly here to stay. It's going to brighten the world of your home. But more important to many of you, it's going to create a lot of new jobs. Now, none of us like crystal gazing, so let's take a look at what is actually happening now.
9 experimental towers are already operating with pre-war equipment and skeleton staffs. While the electronic industry is busy finishing its war job, a handful of people, girls, ex-vets, older men, are keeping the field alive, experimenting, ironing out kinks, but proving that will definitely be part of American life when the go-ahead comes. Sight teamed up with sound to bring the world to your easy chair. It'll be a combination of Broadway and Hollywood, and you'll get the best of both for the price of electricity. Television networks, 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 television television camera can be set up. The 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 television camera can be set up. Camera can be set up. And outside the studios. And outside the studios. And outside the studios. Mobile units, portable stations on wheels, are now experimenting with remote pickups, getting primed to bring you on-the-spot news and history in the making. You will have a direct wire to every place, a world of sports at your fingertips.
They're off. That's interpreter number 2 right in front. And the field races past the stand with interpreter on top, low man in second place moving up on the outside.
Tomorrow, you will have a permanent ringside seat everywhere from Madison Square Garden to the House of Congress. Command performances in your own living room. These men at Howard General Hospital, where there are 100 sets, can tell you, even now, without the technical improvements that will come after the war, at just about the time you're being measured for civvies. Well, that gives you a pretty general idea of what's happening. Now let's see how... You're going to find a new type of aerial against the skyline of America when you return. It will be up high, like light rays, don't bend, and are stopped by the horizon. So the higher the aerial, the farther the waves travel. But first, as you know, all objects reflect light. Some more, some less, depending on their color. The television camera can be set up. 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 What is a television wave? 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 What is television? Television, 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 television. Television is here to stay. 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 Television is here to stay.
The white jacket of these fencers is reflecting more light than their dark trousers. Have the iconoscope, familiarly known as Ike. The camera plate of the iconoscope is made up of millions of sensitive electric eyes. These eyes pick up electric impulses from the object. The impulses are converted back to pinpoints of light and shadow to reform the picture. Here the process is slowed down for you at the rate of 4 million impulses a second, forming the picture in motion. Fantastic. But our children will grow up with this miracle enriching their lives and giving them a new understanding of the whole world.
Gosh.
By harnessing electrons and vacuum tubes, our research scientists, backed by American industry and manufacturing skill, have developed this new means of communication to the point where it promises to become a post-war billion-dollar industry which can serve our nation and the world in new and wonderful ways. Let's listen to a man who knows.